Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is time for another edition of Know Your Enemy. I, of course, am Michael Beck, deputy editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, joined always by my co-host, one Mr. Geoffrey Benedict. Geoffrey, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. And tonight we got two special guests, twice as nice. Usually one, but we got the two from Tennessee Titans Weekly, I believe.
Yes,
Both Jacques and Lorenzo. Guys, Jacques, we'll start with you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. We just got some not so good news from the Titans, so we're dealing with that. But other than that, we're being safe, and we're here to talk Titans and Steelers, so we're excited.
Oh, we are too. How are you, Lorenzo?
Man, I'm good. To those who have never seen us before, we are Tennessee Titans Weekly. We are on YouTube and Instagram at Tennessee Titans Weekly. Again, we cover the Titans every week. For those that are Titan fans or even Steeler fans, watch the show, subscribe to our channel as well. We are excited about this game. We're very nervous because of the fact that our team can't practice right now, right? But we'll talk about the positives of that too. So we got some stuff to talk about, man. So we're here, man. And also I will say, 2 years ago I was in Pittsburgh when the Titans played the Steelers. I was up in Pittsburgh. I go to road games too, man, and that was a great experience. Funny stories to say too, man. I will say.
Right.
Great experience. I don't think that one was the best result for you guys, if I recall.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, man. Yeah, we made the playoff. We did make the playoffs that year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You made it last year and we didn't. So
yeah, man. So Antonio Brown went wild on us, man. It was nothing we could do. We had a flawless game. We had a chance in the second quarter, and we had a drop touchdown by Delaney Walker, and that changed the whole dynamics of the game.
Which is rare.
Yes, very rare. But yeah, you guys won. Yep,
we'll take it. I'm sure we'd much prefer to get another win this coming week, but I guess we'll get into those game predictions in a little bit. I think right off the top, obviously there's some pretty crazy news with this game, obviously being suspended. Lorenzo, why don't I start with you? What are your kind of thoughts on this whole situation with the game kind of postponed?
Well, it's crazy that it had to be the Titans. That's what we're saying around here in Nashville. We live in Nashville, and that's all we're saying. It had to be us, right? We're 3-0. We're making strides, and then all of a sudden this happens, right? And so how we feel about it, we're actually sad about it because, again, it's impacting us. We got players that are going to be out. We have a starting nose tackle that's going to be out in Daquan Jones. We just found out today Kamala Correa, our outside linebacker, he's out as well. He doesn't start, but he does play a lot. And so for us, I think the biggest concern is the fact that we can't practice. And the Steelers right now practicing, doing film and all these things. We can't get healthy. Our starting offensive tackle and Taylor Lewan is hurt, trying to nurse his injury, can't be at the facility. So that's the issue right now. But which could be a concern, the blessing in this is that at times as football players, me and Jacques we've played football even up in the college ranks as well too many years ago. I would say at times, man, hey, you can't supplement rest. So instead of practicing and all those things, that rest is kind of like an extra bye week, right? You go come Saturday or Sunday, you do your walkthrough. They might be more prepared for this game physically. It's the next game that I'm more concerned about because it's, like 5 days in between hand. But I am nervous about this game. You guys are the best team we've played this year. Mm-hmm. So Ben Roethlisberger looked very good. And so, we know about the Steelers, bro. We do.
Right.
Yeah, and likewise, it's the best opponent we're facing this year. I'm going to pose this question to both Geoffrey and Jacques, but Jacques, will start with you. Who do you think has an advantage if this game is kind of pushed back multiple days?
So to be honest with you, I'm a diehard Titans fan. I'm going to say the Steelers, of course, because of the preparation. Literally, you guys get the preparation practice. They've shut our facilities down until Saturday, and I know they're allowing players to come in and treat, but that preparation is very important. If people didn't realize what happened last week, we barely won. We won by a field goal, and we struggled defensively. And that's very important to get in there, go through your film study, go through what can be improved. And when you don't have that interaction in person and that practice time to get in there and say, hey, guys, this is where we struggle. This is where we need to make improvements, especially when, like you said, this is the best team we faced so far in Big Ben. And Big Ben has a point to prove, and he's proving it, and he's doing a damn good job of doing it. So this is really concerns me with this game where, like Hawk said, it had to be us. I mean, why us? Like, literally, why us? And it's just for the struggles that we've been going through on defensively is what concerns me. So I'm nervous going into this game, and I'm nervous going into next week's game as well. But hopefully, I mean, the players can stay mentally strong, prepare mentally, and do film study. Literally, for the rookies, this is very important because we didn't have a preseason. Think about it. No preseason, nothing. So this is their time to get in here and show what they can do. And when you continue to have time where you're constantly off and off and off, and there's no preseason, you're just constantly doing film study. Physically, like you said, we play football. So mentally, you're there, but also you have to put the pieces when you're physically out there in your technique and your preparation. So, yeah, I'm nervous.
Now, Geoffrey, obviously from the Steelers' point of view, like I think we'd all be in agreement that this would obviously be in the Steelers' favor, not losing extra guys because of this. But on the Steelers side of things, like we've talked about in the past, the Steelers going on the road when they're kind of a heavy favorite is kind of a kryptonite for whatever reason for this team. Do you see this being a potential factor in this game?
I actually do. I think if you see the Steelers and you see most people start getting their heads that the Steelers are going to just be able to stomp all over the Titans because the Titans can't practice. The Titans can't prepare for this game. They're going to have to do it over Zoom. Being in a film room is a little different when you're doing it online. So if they get that kind of a vibe going, we all know Ben Roethlisberger has those games where you should beat the opponent. He should be doing well, and then he comes out, throws 4 picks, and is like, I don't know how to play football today.
And it's happened on a number of occasions, almost a yearly occurrence. But I think one of the big factors in this game as well, A.J. Brown, he's missed some time. Yep. What's his status in this one?
I think he's going to be out. Yeah, he has a badly bruised knee, and so I would prefer him to be out, give that time to heal up and things. And so I would love to see him play, of course. But, he's going to be out. Absolutely. Yes.
So then I ask, outside of, I guess, Corey Davis, where else was that kind of receiving help going to come from on that side of the ball?
So we do have Humphreys. We got Adam Humphreys, and then we got also Khalif Raymond, which Khalif Raymond is one of those guys you never really hear about in the league, but he will sneak up on you. I think he had, he was, 5, correct me if I'm wrong, Hog. I think it was 4 catches or 5 catches for 111 yards last week. And 2 of those catches were off 60-yard passes. So exactly. He's one of those type of receivers that sneakily you're not really scheming for. You're like, okay, who's number 14? All right, just watch him. And it's this downfield speed and straight line speed is what can get you. If everybody's seen the playoffs last year when he played Baltimore, what he did to Marlon Humphreys when he turned him around, when he ran the inside route. So that's a good player. But besides that, like I said, you got Humphreys, Corey Davis, Khalif Raymond. We're a little thin at receiver. We did get rid of Tajay Sharp last year, which I'm still not a component of that because he was a good serviceable receiver. But we do have the rookie Darrington Evans, who you can put out on the perimeter and play him at receiver as well. So with A.J. Brown being out, and also we got Jonnu Smith. So that's not people don't account for him as well. So we got weapons. It's just you really got to just utilize what you have.
That's right. And ladies and gentlemen, let's not be fooled here. The Tennessee Titans made the AFC Championship last year. Okay. The Titans are a good football team. We are struggling defensively, but it's as far as our weapons, yes, we're going to miss A.J. Brown. Jonnu Smith is one of the leaders right now in touchdowns for tight ends. I think our receivers. We got to be careful against Joe Hayden on that side of the field, and even Minkah Fitzpatrick. We get that, we understand that, but we do think there might be some opportunities against Steve Nelson out there now, guys. Even Terrell Edmonds. Your safety is a power safety. He likes to come down and make hits and things, and bites a lot on pump fakes. And that's a strength that we have is our play action. So though our weapons might not be there as much, but the way that we run our offense, man, it can pose a challenge. Our offense is good. Our defense is what's in question right now, man. Right. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Now, speaking of those Steelers defensive backs, Geoffrey, obviously they're not putting up those flashy numbers outside of a Joe Hayden interception. Is there something going on with their secondary, or is it just kind of the scheme that's kind of the error here?
I think they're starting kind of slow. I'm watching film, and they're trying some new schemes. They're trying some different things. Some of it's working. A lot of times what you're seeing is, like in against Houston last week, if they can get away from the rush, we are committing a lot to the blitz. And when that blitz doesn't get home, they're going to find people. They're going to find people open. We don't have those guys that can hold, that can cover and stay on a guy and mirror him for 4 or 5 seconds. We don't have those guys. We can run a lot of different things with the defense we have, but Yeah, we could be vulnerable if they can block, if they can keep us off of Tannehill, run some play action, get our guys moving the wrong direction. It's there. You can get us. We've seen a couple of big plays, especially if they can run the multiple routes at Minkah Fitzpatrick. We saw it again twice in the Texans game where they ran a route at Minkah Fitzpatrick to keep him kind of frozen in the middle of the field and then threw outside on Joe Hayden and got Nelson on one too. So there is room. There is room to attack those defensive backs right now, but you have to hold off TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Bud Dupree in order to get there.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, just continuing with that kind of offensive side of the ball, Derrick Henry, one of the biggest beasts there is in the NFL today, probably the biggest beast of a running back that there is.
Yes.
Coming against the Steelers' rush defense, through 3 weeks, ranked number 1 in the league. They only allowed 9 yards to Saquon Barkley. I think it was 31 to David Johnson, obviously, who's on the downswing of his career. But maybe I'll pose this to Jacques first. Do you think that's a little area of concern, how good the Steelers' rush defense, or is Henry still going to get his?
Well, Henry is one of those backs. It takes some time. He has to get going. So first half, he'll probably get two or 3 yards a carry. Next thing you know, he beats you up in the second half when you're tired of tackling him. Now, well, granted, when we played the Steelers the last time, of course, Henry didn't have a big game. And this year, every team has stacked the box on us. Literally, every team from the Denver game to the Jacksonville game to even last week. I mean, physical teams stacking the box, and Henry is still able to get 100 yards here, 88 yards here. He had 116, 2 touchdowns last week. So Henry will get his yards, and it just takes time for him to get his yards. Now, with the defensive front that you guys do have, it can be a challenge, and our offensive line right now is not getting that push that we were last year. So that's really the biggest issue, is the offensive line is not getting that push. So with Henry's going to have to find a way to get through these holes and just make it work, which he's been doing all year, literally. He's been finding ways to get yards, and he's been fighting for them. Now, last week, the push was a little bit better, and he was able to get a little bit more chunk yards, 16 yards here, 12 yards here. But that happened later part in the game. So what can happen is early, the Steelers might stack the box and they might stop them. Second half, when things get going and they start slowing down, because people, if you don't understand, the Titans are a team that eats up clock. We are methodical. We are slow. We will hand it off to Henry, play action. Henry, play action. So if you allow Henry to get going, he's going to get his yards. So he can get his yards.
Yeah. Facts, no paper. That's right.
Now, Geoffrey, I'll swing it right over to you. Do you think the Steelers have what it takes to shut down another big-time running back for really a 4th week in a row?
Well, I think we're really familiar with exactly what the Titans are trying to do here. One of the reasons I love Mike Vrabel as a coach is because he's got a lot of Bill Cowher, attitude to him. And watching them, how they use Henry, it reminds me a lot of Jerome Bettis, where he would just plow that line, and all of a sudden, second half, he gets past your linebackers, and nobody wants to touch him. Nobody wants to deal with that. Yep. Nobody wants to try and bring that down. So we'll see that. And the similar keys to how you would stop it against the Steelers is you got to take an early lead. You got to get the game to 2 scores and kind of take Henry out of the game. If not, he is going to get those yards. That's what, like I said, a couple years ago we played him. He didn't have a big game because we took a big lead. And what are you going to do? You're going to run the clock out? Okay, if you want to run the clock out, we'll let you. You can run all day. But that is the key there. If the game is close, Henry is a huge factor, and Henry is a game-changing factor.
Absolutely.
If you can get a big lead going, then he's not as much.
Yeah.
I agree. And I would say, guys, I don't know, how far back. I know you guys have been Steeler fans forever, but you guys remember the AFC Central days, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that Titans / Oilers and Steelers, man, that was a battle, okay? And this guy here was the running back. That's why I'm wearing the throwback Eddie George right now, right? As a reminder of those games. And when I put this on today, it put me in the mindset of Derrick Henry, right? Who leads the league in rushing? Number 22, Derrick Henry. Derrick Lamont Henry is the leading rusher of the league. So, yes, we do know about Pittsburgh's rush defense. We know about Blitzburg. You guys are the best blitzing team in the league and have been for 30 years probably, right? And so that is a concern for us. If we don't if we don't run well, we're not going to win this football game, because the run game is what's going to set up for our pass. And, defensively, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a good defense. We are very well aware of this. And so I hope 22 runs very well, man. But we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of running backs, Steelers running back James Conner coming off of 2 back-to-back 100-yard games.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Titans rush defense. I saw someone in the live chat saying they're the 32nd ranked unit. I'm not sure if that's facts or not, but if in this situation, I'll throw this to Hawk first. Do you think James Conner can be slowed down, or is this a game that we might be able to expect to see a third 100-yard game out of him?
Right. Well, this is the thing I say about James Conner. James Conner's a heck of a running back. Very physical, very tough-minded too. I know James Conner's had his history of injuries, right? He's often injured, but he's healthy right now, and that does cause a problem. Am I afraid of James Conner for this particular game? I'm going to say why. I'm going to say no, okay? James Conner, who gives us issues of running backs who can catch and run the football, okay? The kind of a duo of a running back. Conner catches pretty well, but he's more of a downfield runner, and that actually runs to our strength, okay, which is Geoffrey Simmons, number 98. If you don't know about him, get to know about him, right? Geoffrey Simmons is a monster, and so we do have Rashaan Evans in middle linebacker. That's to our strength, and so speed backs give us problems. I wouldn't put Conner in that class as a speed back. He's a good running back now. I'm not saying he's not, but against our defense, I do think, he's Dalvin Cook, who we faced last week. He had 181 yards rushing, but James Conner, he'll get his yards. I don't know, maybe 70 yards rushing, maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, and now I'll throw this over to Jacques. Now, what has kind of been the struggles for that Titans defense when it comes to defending the run?
If people don't remember, we had Averson Williamson. He was our linebacker. We had him. I think we let him go about four years ago, I believe. He is a run-stopping linebacker. Okay. And if people know about the Titans defense has always been that run-stopping team. They've always been able to stop the run. The pass, not so much, but at least the run. What our struggles is we lost Casey. So everybody knows Jarrell Casey is gone. We had Jarrell Casey in the middle. He was able to stop the run. Daquan Jones fed off of him. And even Geoffrey Simmons last year was able to feed off of him. This year, us missing Casey has been really important. Yes, we have Big Jeff, but I feel like Big Jeff has to get going. But our linebackers, for some reason, and it could be going back to preseason, have not been tackling well for these past 3 games. They have not been tackling well at all. Rashaan Evans has been struggling. Jayon Brown has been struggling. So, like Hawk reiterated, when we go against Dalvin Cooks and smaller, shiftier backs, we struggle. But when we're going up against the big, bulkier backs like Leonard Fournette, we tend to do very well. So, what our struggles is, we can't get any push on our defensive line. Yes, we have Clowney. Yes, we have Vic Beasley. Yes, we have Harold Landry. Yes, we do have those particular players on our defensive line. But, of course, they're not getting that push. And we brought in Jadeveon Clowney. A lot of fans thought, okay, he's going to get 13, 14, 15 sacks. To me, he's more of a run stopper. He is said that he's there to stop the run. Not to be a sack artist, but stop the run. So it could be a combination of not having a preseason, preparation, not being in game shape, because people, if you understand, being in a regular human shape versus being in football shape is 2 different shapes. So I think we'll start to level out probably week 6 or week 7. And then once we start to level out, I think you'll start to see the Titans evolve. But right now, James Conner, he can go off. He possibly can get us 100 yards, but it just all depends. So definitely.
Yeah. Now, Geoffrey, the Steelers kind of took a 4 running back approach to their week 3 game against the Texans. You see the Steelers continuing that kind of steady stream of attack with their 4 runners, and who do you kind of see pulling ahead in that kind of pecking order on the Steelers running back depth chart?
Oh, it's going to be James Conner. Last week they wanted to work Anthony McFarland in, and there were times James Conner left the game for a couple of times where he was a little banged up, seemed to leave for 2 or 3 plays, get work done, come back. But it's going to be mostly Conner. It's going to be a lot of James Conner. They're going to try it. I happen to agree. I think he plays to their strengths. I don't think you want to run a power game against the Titans. But we'll see. We'll have to see what the Steelers are able to do.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, looking at the Titans again, Ryan Tannehill, career renaissance since joining Tennessee.
Yep.
He's looked very well. Why don't maybe I'll start with Hawk on this one. Why don't you kind of break down what we've seen out of him this year for all the Steelers fans that haven't been able to kind of watch his kind of development in that Tennessee system?
You're right. So, a lot of people speak upon the Tennessee Titans just being a Derrick Henry team. Now, Derrick Henry, when he runs over 100 yards, we are 15-0. So I want to throw that out there too. That is a big part of it. But when you look at Ryan Tannehill, since he's been a starter here, he's played 16 games and he's 14 and I think he's 13-3. Like, it's an unbelievable number. He's been very, very consistent. And, we're not asking him to be Russell Wilson or Tom Brady. He is playing within our system, but he's very efficient in throwing the football. So he's not throwing 80, 90 yards a game. He's putting up, 280 to 300 yards a game. And what people don't realize is that when he was with the Miami Dolphins, he was throwing for 4,000 yards then too. It just people don't realize because the Miami Dolphins sucked for so long, but he had good yards, right? And so him throwing for yards is not an issue. What has been the improvement for him is interceptions and the fact that he doesn't turn the ball over. That's really the key in any team. The more turnovers you have, you're probably going to lose a football game. And he's only had one interception all year long. So, even when you look at Pittsburgh, you guys have done a great job in the turnover part of it as well. That's why both teams are 3-0. So Ryan Tannehill will surprise you, Steeler fans, if you haven't seen him. Ryan Tannehill can throw the ball, especially when it comes to play action, because the defense is going to suck in and try to tackle Derrick Henry. And next thing you know, Ryan Tannehill's throwing it deep, man. And, Ryan Tannehill is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a joke. He's really good.
Now, Jacques, what are your thoughts on the Titans pivot?
So he hasn't had to throw 40 times a game. Literally, in Miami, he was having to throw 40, 30 times. I mean, literally, they didn't have a run game. They didn't have Derrick Henry. So this is the most balanced offense he's really ever been in. He has a tight end. He has a run game. He has a couple of receivers. So if people don't realize, he distributed the ball evenly, literally, to each receiver. Isn't it? Maybe you had Corey Davis go off for 105 or Khalif Raymond, but these are not 11 catches games. These are 4 yards for 4-yard catches for 111 yards, a 60-yard bomb here. So it is the play action and him getting the ball out. I mean, he's getting the ball out quicker with precision. He's being accurate. He's making smart decisions. Yes, he had an interception last week, which was like, I mean, you make a mistake here or there, but I mean, he stones 6 touchdown passes to 1 interception. It's amazing. In some of those games last year when we had Mariota at the helm, we could have won with Tannehill at the helm. Literally, we needed a couple of plays here and there. And also, people don't realize Tannehill has a second weapon. He can run the ball. He used to be a receiver. So that's another threat that a lot of people don't see when you're looking at Tannehill. So Tannehill doesn't have to just be the old Tannehill of old. He's having fun. He's having fun winning football games. So it's awesome to see a resurgence out of him. And I know a lot of teams will try to duplicate that, but it's very rare when you're in a system like this. And you're around a good culture too. So
now, Geoffrey, throwing it over to you. Like Hawk was saying, Tannehill is not one to turn over the ball with high frequency. That's kind of been the bread and butter of the Steelers defense outside of picking up sacks, is forcing turnovers. How do they kind of do that in this game against a quarterback that kind of specializes in protecting the ball?
I don't think you can just scheme for the Titans to get turnovers against Tannehill the way he plays. He's going to find open guys. And in our games where we're blitzing, there's open guys. It's just, does he have enough time? Does the quarterback have enough time and enough poise to find them? You saw Deshaun Watson getting out of trouble and finding those guys. You didn't see that weeks 1 and 2. So it'll be up to Tannehill. If Tannehill is finding the guys that we're leaving open to blitz, then he's gonna be able to move the ball without us getting turnovers. The way to get turnovers in this game is, again, the offense is gonna have to step up, put the pressure on Tannehill, put the pressure on the Titans, and say, if you're gonna beat us, you're gonna have to throw it 40 times, because then you're more likely to see a bit of Tannehill, that was in Miami, where he didn't have quite the team around him, and he was facing all those deficits, and he was having to try and just do it all himself. That's where you're going to get turnovers from Tannehill. So that's really what we have to do. The offense is going to have success. The defense is going to have to take advantage of any start by Derrick Henry, and we're going to have to take a big lead to really put this game into the situation we want to be in. 2 or 3 scores up, we get there. The problem is going to be trying to get there.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the Steelers quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, he looks to kind of regain his form. Jacques, I'll throw this one to you first. And what kind of different challenges does game planning against Ben Roethlisberger kind of pose when you kind of compare it to who the Titans played in the past this season, like a Kirk Cousins and Drew Lock, I suppose?
So Roethlisberger is going to be the best quarterback we faced so far, literally so far. And when he gets out of the pocket is where Ben is really dangerous. And it's hard to bring him down. I mean, literally, I've seen the linebackers bump him, and he still doesn't go down. So the key to getting to Ben is you have to get him down on that second to third grab, literally. I mean, he's not easily taken down. So, and if you allow him to get out of the pocket, he finds ways to get the ball out of his hand, and he finds open guys. We've seen it when we played you guys years ago. I mean, Adoree Jackson was getting torched by Antonio Brown. And also, if the Titans don't get no pressure on Ben can just sit in the pocket all day and just throw, dink and dunk, throw it downfield. So it's several keys. You have to get pressure on Big Ben, and once you get your hand on him, you have to get him down. It's almost a swarming technique, literally. I mean, if you play defense, you know, hey, I got him. I need 5 more guys to come get him. I'm here. Hold him. I'm here. So, I mean, literally, don't let him get out the pocket. He gets out of pocket, or we're done. Literally, we're done. And you know, as a DB, me and Hawk have played DB. We only got 5 seconds. We got 5 seconds, and that 5 seconds, I'm done. I can't keep up with you for the rest of the time we're out there trying to do what we do. So, the keys is, man, getting pressure on them and getting them down on the first contact hit. So,
yep. And to add to that too, Jacques, that is 100% correct, bro. And Ben Roethlisberger, ladies and gentlemen, of course, he'll be a Hall of Famer. You know, as soon as he retires, he's there, right? He's still playing very well to have been out last year. He's 38 years old. I saw some of the runs he had last week. I was like, wow, is that Ben from 05? I'm like, wow. So what Ben does, man, he's been doing this great in his entire career, man, is to understand and know the defense and where to throw the ball. And the thing that concerns me about this game for us as a Titans defense, it's always a struggle that we have against tight ends. Mm-hmm. And one tight end that we're familiar with is Eric Ebron when he played with the Colts. And so we'll lose. I'm telling you, if Eric Ebron goes crazy. And I think that might be an opportunity, you know, that can happen for Roethlisberger of Ebron getting open. I mean, Roethlisberger's entire career, yes, he's had Antonio Brown, Santonio Holmes, you know, Antoine Randall. I mean, a lot of great Hines Ward, of course, you know, those guys. But he does a great job in passing the ball around, especially to the tight ends. I mean, I think about like Heath Miller that you guys have had, right? Heath Miller was great. Jesse James was even good, right? I mean, you guys have had great tight ends. And so now you guys have Eric Ebron. And so, you know, Ben knows this. I'm sure he studied the film to say, man, the tight end is open a whole lot, and I'm going to expose that. In order for us to stop being Ben, and you guys know this as Steeler fans, ask the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? Not to throw flashbacks and throwbacks. You hit Ben, you sack him a few times, he gets a little nervous back there, right? And he starts throwing some stupid interceptions. We do know this. The key is, can we get to him? If that happens, we'll win the game if we can get to Ben. But, you know, Ben, when he runs outside the pocket, he's a problem. He is. But it's about getting him in, you know, sacking him while he's in the box. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Absolutely.
I fully agree with that, because you see right now Ben is playing with, like, within the system first, and just do his job. If you get a few hits on him, you get a tough game going. All of a sudden, Ben gets into that hero ball mode.
Yes,
and you can really get to him.
Yep. Is Deontay Johnson? Is he playing this game?
He's in the protocol.
Yeah. Okay.
We're hoping.
Okay.
Claypool, we got to watch out for Claypool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Geoffrey, the Cloud is good too. We know about Ray.
Yeah, Ray.
He showed up in that kick return game pretty well.
Yes.
Geoffrey, I want to pose you one question here on Ben Roethlisberger before we flip over to the second half. Big Ben through 3 games, 105 quarterback rating, on pace for the highest of his career. Only 1 interception, 777 yards and 7 touchdowns, which is kind of funny with his number, I suppose. But is this pace is it something he can continue throughout this whole season, or is he going to see some inevitable dip here?
Oh, we're going to see some bad games. That's what's going to do it. Like, this is Ben. Like, we'll look at his final stats and be like, oh, you know, he had a decent touchdown interception ratio, but when you break it down by games, it's like, no, he has a bunch of games where he's really good, And then he has a couple games where you're just like, ooh, you know what? Well, who was your quarterback that game? So yeah, I it's not going to be all smooth sailing, but I think that's what we're going to see most of the time. And then, you know, hopefully we only see 1 or 2 games where he's just not himself.
All right. So if you're listening on our podcast platform, we are going to flip over to part 2 now. So you can click over for that for more Know Your Enemy content. We'll be hanging out with Hawk and Lockdown from Tennessee Titans Weekly for a little bit more great content coming your way. If you're on YouTube, just sit there and hang tough. You are still listening to Behind the Steel Curtain. I'm Michael Beck, joined with Geoffrey, Benedict, and Hawk and Lockdown from Tennessee Titans Weekly. Having a lot of fun so far. We talked a lot of offense in the first half. I kind of want to talk about the Steelers receivers as kind of the last group we haven't touched on before we kind of move on to that other side of the ball. I'll start with Hawk on this one. The Steelers, I know we mentioned Deontay Johnson before we went into our quick break there, but all these other receivers that the Steelers kind of have, they kind of have that like core 4 and their big tight ends. Is there one name on paper that kind of makes you a little nervous in this game?
Well, we all know about Juju. Okay, we do know about the guy. He's done a heck of a job in his career so far, in his young career. He's definitely a wide receiver 1. That's why he's out there. He's making plays. He had a great game last week. I've seen him do the gritty dance when he scored a touchdown. You know, you never know what type of dance Juju is going to do when he scores a touchdown, right? It's kind of like a wait and see, right? So we know about Juju, okay? And so we have to do a really good job in covering him. But the guy that I'm concerned about of the receivers, you know, looking at this game is James Washington. You know, he has a lot of speed. He's a strong receiver too. You know, catches a lot of passes on the inside and breaks a lot of tackles. You know, a lot of times we put a lot of focus on that one receiver and then leave the other one on an island. Now, you know, our corners right now have struggled. Last year, that was a strength of our team, was our DBs. And Kevin Byard, the All-Pro, if those that don't know about Kevin Byard, the way he's playing right now, he's probably the best safety in the league. Top 3, definitely, right? 17 interceptions in a 4-year career, right? So he struggled. Adoree Jackson's out, who was Juju's former teammate at USC. He's out. So you look at Malcolm Butler, you know, the Super Bowl champion who had the interception against the Seahawks. He has struggled mightily. And now we do have the rookie Christian Fulton. And so we have a lot of DBs that we can throw out there, but they're struggling. And so I think we'll do a decent job against Juju, but we got to be careful of James Washington. He actually is my concern more than Juju for this particular game.
Interesting. Now, Jaga, I'm curious your thoughts on the Steelers receivers as well.
So, of course, like you said, we got Juju, we got James, we got Dante. I'm more concerned of Chase. And the reason why I say this, we had a rookie in Jefferson that went off last week. Literally. I mean, he had a career game.
Yes.
Literally. I mean, one of the best rookie showings in decades, literally. And I'm like, okay, is that young Randy Moss out there?
Right.
The problem with the Titans is we put our attention on Juju. We have James. Who's going to guard Chase, right? That leaves Chase right there in that slot position on you. Move him to the outside. Literally, we've been struggling. And I mean, literally, last week, Butler was getting exposed by Jefferson every other play. And you literally like, hey, move him over. So for me, it's Chase. I mean, even though he has 6 receptions, yes. With us and rookies, no, it just never pans out. And this could be a career game for Chase, literally how I think he's struggling. Because you just don't trust them. I mean, right now we have Chris Jackson, who's our rookie. I think he was a 7th-round pick who was out. Like you said, you have Jackson who was out. And Butler's struggling. And if you've ever played DB, you know it's a communication issue. It's communication. If you communicate, hey, I'm cover 3, you know, hey, I got deep thirds, you got the cover 2, we were here, we man down here, we're going to communicate. Last week, what I saw was miscommunications everywhere. So if we can't get our communication issue together, yes, like I said, we got James, we got Juju. What about Chase? What do we have? So for me, it'll be Chase. It's something about these rookie receivers that they tend to get career games. They have career days against the Titans. I just don't know why.
that is something to look for. I know Geoffrey and myself are a bit of Chase Claypool homers. Myself being from the Great White North of Canada as well, I actually do know Chase. So watching him do what he's done so far has been pretty incredible. But Geoffrey, I ask you, 3 games in, didn't have kind of the targets that he did in week 2, but still came down with that clutch kind of game-sealing reception right at the end there. What have you seen out of his development 3 weeks into the year?
I think they're finding ways to use him to his strengths. Obviously, he got put in against Houston. He ended up playing the most snaps of any wide receiver in that game after Deontay Johnson went down. But they're mostly using him to his strengths. They're having him run deeper routes. They're moving guys, letting James Washington and Juju work underneath him. And he had the quick catch on the sideline and run for 24 yards, but he also drew that big pass interference call on 4th down on our big field goal drive to start the second half. He's making plays. I can see it being a big game for him because, like they were saying, Titans don't have depth right now at cornerback. Their defensive backs they're getting pretty taxed out there.
Yep.
And we could see someone go off if they're playing a lot of man. You could see that be James Washington, simply because he is so hard to match up with one-on-one, and with his strength and his combat catching ability. And if they got somebody out there who can't handle Juju, don't hit him. Don't hit him all day.
Yeah. Now let's transition here to the defensive side of the ball, and there's some great pass rushers, some outside defenders in this game. I kind of want to start on the Tennessee side. Jadeveon Clowney, kind of that big time signing right at the end of that kind of weird offseason type period. Maybe I'll pose this to Hawk first. What has Clowney kind of done to this defense? How has he kind of changed this unit, and what has he brought to this team so far?
Well, if you look at stats, you'd probably think he has underperformed because he has 0 sacks right now, right? And we're paying him a pretty penny to be here. But what Jadeveon Clowney does, he brings a presence. He brings double teams, right? Because they don't want him to go wild. And Clowney's has never really been a sack guy. That's what is really not understood. He's a run stopper. That's what he is. He's dang near a defensive tackle more than a DN. But right now his performance has been shaky. I can't say I'm walking away like, oh, Clowney's just doing great. I just like the fact that he's been bringing in the presence. Teams have been double teaming him, which has allowed Jeffrey Simmons to go off. And Jeffrey Simmons, man to man, is unstoppable. The offensive line of Pittsburgh, they better be ready. I'm telling you. But Jadeveon Clowney has had an uneven performance so far. And I told Jacques this. This is one game where I think Clowney could be an impact in the sack game because the NFL now is more like arena football. Down it up, boom. Down it up, boom. So it's hard to get sacks. I think the leading sacks like Alden Smith at 4 sacks. So it's hard to get sacks right now. It really is because the ball goes out so quick. But Roethlisberger does his progressions. He takes his 4 to 6 step drop and he looks and takes his time to throw the football. So this could be a game where Clowney could make the difference. Kirk Cousins threw the ball quick. Gardner Minshew, and so did Drew Lock. Down to the hook, boom, ball's out. Roethlisberger, who's 10 times better than him, takes his time. So, we'll see. I hope Clowney does well. We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Now, Jock, I'll pose it to you a little more broad. What do you think of this entire Titans defensive line, and how have they kind of done in 2020 so far?
So, and a lot of people don't realize what we have on our defensive line. We have Harold Landry, who had 8 sacks or 9 sacks last year. We have Vic Beasley, who had 8 sacks last year. Of course, you have Clowney, who had 3, and I think you had Jeff, who had 2 or 3 last year. Yeah. Now, the thing is, they haven't all been on the field at the same time. We actually got a peek and a glimpse at it last week when that last drive when Minnesota was trying to drive down the field to get that field goal. They actually all 4 were on the field at the same time, and they were able to bring pressure. When it's just 1 or 2 of them on the field, you really don't see it. You're like, okay, hey, yeah, Clowney's over here guarding double teams. Harold Landry's not a every down pressure guy. He'll get you maybe 1 a sack every other quarter, maybe, or he'll get you a pressure every other quarter. But he's had an interception this year. So the defensive line has gotten pressure, but we just can't get to the quarterback. I would like to see some adjustments to where we can get all 4 of them on the field at the same time. And we might have to do that with Kalama Correa out on the COVID list and Daquan Jones is out. So literally we might have to scheme up to where, hey, Big Clowney, we have you on the right, Harold, you on the left, Vic, you're right here in the seam. So we're good. Let's go. So right now we really haven't seen the flower blossom yet. if I can say it like that. We haven't seen it really just unravel. And of course, if we would have had a preseason, maybe we could have seen, hey, more preparation, more time. But right now, we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. And this could be a game where we have no choice. Literally, we have to put all 4 of them on the field at the same time to get pressure on Ben. So just look for that. That actually might actually happen. And if it does, then it won't be as easy as Steelers fans think it would be, because like Hawk has been saying, Geoffrey Simmons is right now is an all-pro. He will make the Pro Bowl literally this year, and if not this year, it'll be next year. People, look out for Big Jeff.
98, number 98. He's a monster. I'm telling you.
I'll be sure to. I'll write that down. I'm gonna watch him all game long.
Marquise Pouncey's an unbelievable center. You know, he better be ready. I'm telling you, DeCastro, be ready. Be ready.
Now, speaking of that Steelers offensive line for you, Geoffrey, they had an okay game last week. Like, obviously, let up a couple pressures. Ben took a couple really big shots, which I know a lot of us aren't too happy to see. But overall, they played a pretty good game against the Texans. How do they match up better against the Titans this week?
Well, the right side of our line has been phenomenal the last couple of weeks. DeCastro being back, he was actually better even than as much as Dotson. As much as the rookie Kevin Dotson impressed us in week 2, David DeCastro was exactly what you would expect. He was significantly better. Chukwuma Okorafor did a great job against J.J. Watt. Really held his own there. We know he's got great feet. We know he's good against speed rushers. But he was handling J.J.'s power, too. He was taking power moves and just dealing with them. So the right side of our line is doing great. Pouncey has had really good games. Like he had kind of a down year last year. This year he looks really good. The problem is our left side of the line. We got Alejandro Villanueva over there, and we've got I cannot remember his name.
Matt Filer.
Matt Filer, thank you. We got Filer. They are not playing well together. They don't seem to have a good chemistry built over there on the left side this year, even though they've played together before. And that's really the question mark there, is what their right side can do. That's Harold Landry. I don't know who they line up a defensive tackle over there, but I don't think Clowney has been on the right side sometimes.
Clowney's been is usually our left defensive end. Harold Landry's our right defensive end.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons will line up in that spot where he's at.
Okay.
Sometimes
be ready.
They'll interchange him and Daquan sometimes.
And Daquan, be ready.
Okay. Yeah. So really, Harold Landry and whoever they've lined up a right defensive tackle, that's the matchup to watch out for. Because I think the right side still is going to handle it. The way they're playing is just Okorafor may have a bad game. He may slow down, but right now he is playing phenomenal. But what they were saying with their defensive line, losing Jarrell Casey, bringing in Jadeveon Clowney, what you see there is it seems like the defensive line really doesn't have a good chemistry developed, doesn't have a good identity, doesn't have they haven't figured each other and themselves out yet.
Right.
Which is a similar problem they have in their secondary. Is just there's been some very key turnover, and they have those weaknesses, but the talent's there.
The talent is there, dude.
Yeah.
It is there.
Yeah, I like Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons was my favorite when he was coming out in the draft. I was like, that guy's a beast.
Yeah,
they've got so much talent there. People know I've always been a huge Bud Dupree fan, but Jadeveon Clowney is like Bud Dupree before T.J. Watt came around.
Okay,
only better. Like, he can drop into coverage. He can read the defense. He can blow up the entire side of a run game. Yep. He can take over, like, that side of the board himself, but he's not a finisher, right? He's a havoc causer. He's going to get in there and disrupt things. He's going to mess you up. He's going to collapse your pocket. He can do all that stuff, but he's not really a finisher in the pass rushing game. And the only time we really saw Jadeveon Clowney put up sacks, he was across from J.J. Watt, which is the same we've seen with Bud Dupree. Only time he's putting up sacks is when he's across from T.J. Watt.
Gotcha.
So we've got a great bunch of players. The question is, at what point in this season is that defense going to come together for the Titans and snap? Have the light come on, click, they figure themselves out, because then they're going to be nasty to deal with when that happens.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the entire Titans defense as a whole, Jacques, I'll start with you on this one. How do they stop the Steelers offense? What do they got to do to walk away with this victory?
So first of all, we have to of course, we're missing Dean Pease. We miss Dean Pease. That is the key player coach that was a key to our success last year on defense because Dean Pease was able to disguise your weakness. So he was able to put you in places that your strengths were. This year, what we're seeing is Vrabel calling the plays. My linebackers coach Bowen is calling the plays. So there's no real in-game adjustments. What we're going to have to do with this game is we're going to first have to get pressure on Big Ben. That's the number one thing. And you might have to get creative, like I said earlier, is putting all four of them on the field at the same time, literally. I mean, they're probably going to have to play 80% of the snaps just to get pressure on Big Ben. And then with us being so thin in the secondary, last year we went a lot of 3 safety sets. Literally, we had Amani Hooker, Vaccaro, and Byard back there. So that helped out a lot. It brings down that extra safety. He can come in the slot or he can come in that linebacker role if he needs to. This year, we're not doing that as much. We're literally man here, cover 2 here, cover 3, zone here. And to me, we're not a good zone team. We're more of a good man team. We got Christian Fulton, the rookie, who's made plays. He literally had an interception with the Jacksonville game. He had a sack last game. So I would like to see him get more involved and put him maybe on a Chase Claypool or give him a shot on. And I wouldn't say James because James is an incredible receiver, but we're really going to have to get creative with this game, especially with the preparation not being there, us not practicing. I mean, literally, we're going to have to do a lot of film studies. So for me, we're literally going to have to go back to the basics, literally. Hey, let's look at film what we did last year. We had 3 safety sets. Okay, boom, let's keep them out there. We need to get pressure. We got our four beasts of our defensive line out there, and then our linebackers are going to have to step up and guard the tight ends and make tackles when it's time to make those key tackles and those run stops because, like I said, we've been weak in our run game. But the key, man, is we're going to have to get back to the basics. Literally, the basics is let's do what we did last year, and let's figure out how we can get Mike Vrabel needs to be on the phone with Dean Pease right now, literally right now, and discussing and saying, hey, how do we get back on track? Because right now we're struggling. So,
Now, Lorenzo, I'm going to specify this a little bit more. If you could give me one position group that has to have a big game for this win on that defensive side of the ball, who are those guys?
To me, man, it's a simple answer, man. It's the defensive line, man. It's the D line. I'm telling you, if we can control Ben Roethlisberger, we rattle him, make him look like Ben Roethlisberger, right? We hit him a bit. I think that would be huge for us. Okay, when Ben is untouched, Ben is incredible. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's no question. Ben Roethlisberger is unbelievable. We know this, right? But again, if you go to the Jags game back in the playoffs several years ago, Jacksonville was just smacking him around. He had Ben at one point thinking about retiring right after the game. As soon as the game was over, Ben was like, I don't know if I want to do this again. I just don't know. I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's saying these things. So we have to get him in that mindset, right? To hit Ben Roethlisberger. It's got to come from our defensive ends. And as Jock alluded to earlier, we don't have Daquan Jones. We don't have Kamala Correa. Those are 2 guys. One, Daquan being a starter. Correa plays a lot. So now we got our 4 best defensive linemen that can rush the passer. We hit them a bit, and that could rattle them. So our defensive line, they have to play well because we're struggling on our secondary. We can't trust them. Our inside linebackers are having a terrible season too. So it's on our defensive linemen. If Geoffrey Simmons has a big game, we're going to win this football game. If we can hit Roethlisberger, we can win. If we do not hit Roethlisberger and Eric Ebron are going to have a field day. Mark my words. I don't know the stats so far on Ebron. I know how good Ebron is because we played him every year with the Colts. And I know the tight end has always been a struggle for us. If you're in fantasy football and you have a tight end versus the Titans and he's on the bench, you better start him. I don't care who he is. It could be me out there, right? Start him. I'm telling you. But Eric Ebron and Ben Roethlisberger are going to have a field day if we don't hit Roethlisberger, man. I'm telling you. That's a fact. Mark my words, bro.
I think Eric Ebron might be available in one of my leagues, so he is getting picked up.
Sign him. Sign him. I guarantee you. Sign him. For real.
All right. I'm holding you to it.
He'll have 1 touchdown, guaranteed. And that's all you can ask for a tight end.
It really is.
Fantasy football.
It's true. Yep. Geoffrey, Mike Vrabel is one of your favorite coaches I know across the entire NFL. What do you kind of expect from him and his game plan against the Steelers?
This is I've told you before, this is a game I'm picking the Steelers to lose. I'm still on that. This is one of those games where everything's against you. The Steeler fans loved having a coach like Bill Cowher. It would just be like, you know what? We're going to do very basic things. We're going to get back to basics. They're going to know what we're doing, and it won't matter if we do it better. And Vrabel has that. Vrabel has that gumption, and he has that like stick your jaw out and just say, screw everything. We're going to win this game no matter what. He has that kind of thing. And I think with their team and the situation they're in, it could actually be a benefit to have kind of a week off, get out of game planning, get out of just planning for an opponent, go back a little bit to something simpler, go back to what your strengths are, and just throw it out there and see what happens. I could see the Steelers coming out in this game. The defense has been good, but not solid. It hasn't been all together. And our offense is getting it done sometimes, and other times not really. So I think you could see a game where the Titans come out. They get some rest. They have some hard practices right before the day of the game. Come out, keep the scheme simple, and just go out and play football. Give the Steelers trouble. Keep the game close, and that's their style. That's when they win. And I think Mike Vrabel is the exact kind of coach to take a simple scheme that works against the Steelers. Belichick's stuff he ran against us wasn't complicated. It just worked because it always did. And he knows that. He knows us from that, and he knows how to deal with this kind of situation. So I think he is kind of the perfect coach for this game and situation where they shouldn't win. They're not getting to practice. The field isn't even. The odds aren't good. But you just go out there and you play football better than the person across from you. You're going to win the game.
Now, we are getting to the top of the hour, and I do want to get to game predictions and a couple other things really quick, but I would be remiss if I did not bring up TJ Watt and Bud Dupree. Hawk, why don't I start with you on this one? What do the Titans got to do to slow down the Steelers pass rush who have been racking up the sacks so far 3 weeks into the year?
Got you. And by the way, great comments by the subscribers here, man. Awesome comments, man. You guys are, great job on the comments here. So will Taylor Lewan play is the question. Taylor Lewan left the last game with a shoulder injury. And so if he doesn't play, I don't know if you guys know, our first round pick was Isaiah Wilson. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Wilson's had a lot of issues, a lot of trouble. He's had COVID twice. He got arrested a few weeks ago. He was actually pulled over even about a month or so ago. Right now, he's a big guy that's acting like a 14-year-old child, just being honest. So he's not available. So right now, we're going with a guy named Ty Sambrailo. Yeah, who is that, right? I don't know, right? The guy we signed during the offseason from the Atlanta Falcons. He struggled against the Vikings last week. He did. Now, he got better as the game wore on, especially in the run blocking. But on pass blocking against TJ Watt and Dupree, that's where the struggle is going to be if Taylor Lewan is not on the field. If Taylor plays, I think that'll be a pretty good matchup. I think him and TJ Watt will battle. But Sombrero is the issue here. Bud Dupree, against Dennis Kelly.
Yeah, Dennis Kelly.
I like Bud Dupree in that matchup too. I do. I'm more worried about TJ Watt. I think he's more of a dynamic pass rusher than Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree, similar to Jadeveon Clowney in a lot of ways. Same size, same build, same type of a guy, right? TJ Watt is my worry. Am I concerned? Yes, I am. I'm very concerned. Yes. The positive of Ryan Tannehill is that he gets the ball out quickly. He doesn't allow a lot of sacks.
He's not Mariota.
Exactly. He's not Marcus Mariota. That is correct, sir. Mariota would have been sacked probably 6 times. That's a fact. So with Tannehill throwing the ball quickly, hoping TJ Watt just for a little bit, just to kind of keep him down, I think that'll be the strength for us. But he'll win the battle with Sombrero. So Steeler fans, we know about TJ Watt. He will win that battle.
Kick it over to you, Jacques. What do you think on this matchup?
I mean, Hawks on it, literally, and we got Sombrero. If Taylor doesn't play, Sombrero's gonna have his hands full, literally. I mean, last week he struggled, and the Minnesota Vikings doesn't have a TJ Watt on their defensive line, so that concerns me. My problem is we shouldn't have never got rid of Jack Conklin, because usually in this situation, what'll happen is Jack Conklin will, of course, be at the right tackle. We'll move Kelly in that left tackle role. Kelly's able to hold it down. I trust Kelly. Sombrero, no. And like you guys said about Bud Dupree, he's just like Jadeveon. Literally, he's going to finish when he needs to finish, but he's not that finisher. So a stat that people don't really know, fans and the Steelers fans don't know, that Ryan Tannehill really hasn't been sacked. It's a weird thing because he gets the ball out fast, but the pass protection has literally been lights out. I think he's been sacked maybe once or twice, but compared to last year when Mariota was sacked 100,000 times, it compares night and day. So if Tannehill can get the ball out, and like Hawk said, if he can just hold him for just at least a couple of seconds, we will be fine. But if Sambrello plays, it's going to be a struggle. So, and it's also important to get the run blocking going as well. So, yeah, they worry me. But hopefully, if Taylor Lewan plays, I feel comfortable with the pass blocking. Yes, Watt will get pressure. But like I said, they've been good at their pass blocking, which I'm actually shocked. So,
yep.
Now we're right up against it here, Geoffrey. I think we can just dive straight into game predictions because I want to make sure everyone can plug their stuff. I know you got the Titans in this one, but what's your score prediction?
Titans 23, Steelers 21. They keep it close all game, and at the end, like the Steelers have been closing out every game with the ball. I think this is the game that changes. They let it stay close. Ben doesn't do what he needs to do to put this team away, and they take it over late with King Henry.
Awesome. Now we'll kick it down to Hawk on the next prediction.
So me and Jacques had our prediction show before the season started, and we got to stay true to what we predicted. I actually had the Steelers winning this football game, ladies and gentlemen. I did. Of course, I want the Titans to win. Hope we win. Hope I'm wrong. Very wrong. But I just think, the fact that we're not practicing, that's an added fabric in this thing. Right now we have a lot of injuries. We have a lot of things struggling right now. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be a very close game. I think it'll be a very good high-scoring game, to be honest. So I'm actually going Steelers 32, Titans 30. I think it's going to be a high-scoring football game.
Wow. Now, Jacques, kicking it down to you.
I think I had the Steelers winning too. I think I did. It's just the factors, man. And this doesn't help that all the COVID stuff happened. This doesn't help at all. And literally, I had us losing even with game preparation. But with the COVID stuff going on and not being able to practice, I have us actually losing 35 to 24. So.
All right, now for me, ending it off here, tying a bow on it. I kind of had the Steelers going undefeated into Baltimore was my kind of bold prediction for this year. So I'm going to ride with that. I'm going to say the Steelers win this one by field goal, 20. Actually, it'll be a little bit less. We'll go with 21-18. I think with your long snapper being out. Stephen Gostkowski doesn't get the opportunity to kick a 4 straight game winner. Right. So the Steelers come out and end this game 4-0. Now, Jacques, I'll kick it down to you really quick here at the end. If you guys got anything to plug, Jacques, why don't you go first and Hawk second? So
Hawks, I plug, man. Go ahead and plug it, brother.
All right.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining in on the show. Thank you for the comments and everything. Just me asked who's the best slot for our team, Adam Humphries. So I'll answer that real quick. But I'd say, again, for those that haven't heard of us, we are Tennessee Titans Weekly. And another thing, in Pittsburgh, a lot of people say I look like Mike Tomlin, just bald. So I don't know. I get that a lot, y'all. When I was in Pittsburgh, I'm telling you, I got that a lot. So I don't know if y'all think that or whatever. I just want to throw that tidbit in there. But if you'd like to subscribe to our channel, it's subscribe at Tennessee Titans Weekly. We're actually on Instagram at Tennessee Titans Weekly as well. You can contact us on email at Tennessee Titans Weekly at gmail.com and on Twitter at Titans Weekly 24/7. Hey man, we're active.
And we also to piggyback off of Hawk, we accept all subscribers, all NFL. We know our teams. We know every team in the NFL. So we do have Jag fans that have subscribed to the channel. We got Chief fans who have subscribed to the channel. Ravens fans. So definitely, we friendly. We love football. We talk football. We live football. We bleed football. So definitely, like you said, hit us up, man. We love it. This was fun. I really enjoyed this.
We love doing these type of shows. And Bob, I know you spoke on the Ravens. I don't know how much you guys hate the Ravens. We hate the Baltimore Ravens.
We can't
stand the Ravens. Nothing personally. We're just saying that's a rival, like a huge rival for us, man.
Yes.
Oh, but
awesome. We don't have any love for them.
Yeah, understood.
All right, we're at the very top here, Geoffrey. I'm sorry, we're pretty much out of time on this one. You always got great film rooms coming out, so make sure you're checking that stuff out. We got Steelers Stat Geek coming out tomorrow morning, like co-editor Dave Schofield has said in the live chat. So make sure to check that out in the audio platform. For all our guests today, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Know Your Enemy. And whenever this game kicks off, we'll be excited to break it down for that game. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and have a great night.